Hey guys, Jay's back from Jay's Aquatics and Companions, and today I want to talk a little bit about fertilizers. Um, Fertilizers, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of do-it-yourself fertilizers, in which pretty soon I'm going to start doing some of the do-it-yourself fertilizers, just because it's going to save me money in the long run. But as of right now, with my tanks, I use a lot of the C-Chem products. I mainly use Flourish, not Excel. I'll explain why in a little bit. I use the Flourish. I use potassium and iron. These are the ones that I've always used. I hold tried and true to them, and I've never had problems. All I've had is luscious plant growth, stable water parameters, and everything. Now, why did I say not Excel? A lot of people say Excel is to replace CO2, blah blah blah. Excel is actually an algicide. It'll kill the algae in your tank. It will actually kill some other plants, like I believe it kills a lot of different veil plants, Valsinaria, I believe. It kills them. Actually, I've had it kill hair grass before, which I don't understand why it killed that one. That could have been, something else. But yeah, just don't use Excel. If you're gonna do a CO2 method, which with the Excel, when it kills off algae, it will release CO2 into the water. So it kind of does supplement CO2 a little bit, but don't use Excel unless if you absolutely have to. Matter of fact, in my experience, I have found that Excel is actually not shrimp safe. It's not snail safe, because a lot of times people use too much of it because it's still in their water column. It didn't get filtered out, it didn't get used up. These completely shrimp and snail safe. Matter of fact, I believe he even says it right on here. Give me one moment. Oh, Flourish iron is safe for invertebrates such as shrimp. Flourish potassium is safe for invertebrates such as shrimp. And I know that the Flourish is also safe. Even though it has trace amounts of copper, it's such little copper, it's not going to bother your invertebrates at all. But what I personally do is, instead of dosing out of each bottle, well, this is a really old bottle, but as you can see, I put Fert Mix on here. I'll take this bottle, fill it up a third of the way with Flourish, third of the way with potassium, third of the way with iron. Shake it up, and then this cap measures out 5 or 10 milliliters. Actually, 1, 5, or 10. I used to do 10 milliliters 2 to 3 times a week. Now I'm actually doing 20 milliliters 2 to 3 times a week, depending. And I've taken notice that my blackbeard algae has, it's almost non-existent at this point. Also, I have used Aquarium Co-op's Easy Green. That is a fantastic one. A lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't, add all your nutrients in at the same time. I've never had a problem with it. I always wait to add nutrients, though, until after the lights have been on for a few hours, because then that's at their peak of photosynthesis, and they'll be able to absorb more of that fertilizer. I've used C-Chem. I've used one of my buddies' do-it-yourself stuff, where he gets the powder for him and he mixes all kinds of stuff up. I've used the Aquarium Co-op Easy Green, which if you don't have the money for the Seachem, just go for the Easy Green. It's cheap, it works. I've never personally had a problem with it. Also, I had a buddy that did a lot of aquaponics before, that he made like his own fertilizers from scratch. A lot of them I don't think I would trust in, the aquarium with other fish, but I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I think this stuff is what, like $12 to $13 a bottle, which can get quite expensive. If you have the means to do it, the do-yourself method, do it, or just go get Easy Green. Did I already mention? Oh, stay away from fertilizers that have nitrates in them. What a lot of people don't understand is a lot of plants don't necessarily thrive on nitrates. They thrive on a lot of the other stuff that's on here, not to mention ammonia. Like fish, they produce ammonia. Like when people say urea, they're releasing ammonia. It's straight ammonia, which the plants will automatically absorb. If not, then your cycled media will take care of it. So stay away from any fertilizers that have nitrates in it. Matter of fact, one of the successes of the reason why I don't have to do water changes on my tanks is because I don't use that type of fertilizer. That's just one of the reasons why I don't have to do it. Because if there's excess nitrates in there, you technically should have to do water changes, but because I have both root and column feeders, I never have to worry about it. And my neon tetras are showing breeding activity again. And that's one of the reasons why I think my tanks stay as stable as they do. Matter of fact, if you guys want to give this a try, I did do an experiment, which I'm sure you guys seen in my previous video where I said the 125 has been an experiment tank since the beginning, because my dirt was non-fertilized. I got it down at this Amish store right down the road, and it's the same exact stuff that you get from like the dollar store or the Dollar Generals, the bag of potting soil, non-fertilized, but it has those little white things in it. A lot of people say take that out, put it in your tank. So far I haven't had any problems with it. Matter of fact, what those actually do is they release oxygen into the soil. Why not have that in your tank? I mean, I'm sure in videos you've seen bubbles coming up from the substrate every now and then. It's keeping all my gravel and everything rotated. That's why I never really have to do any gravel vacuuming. But anyway, before I put the gravel on top, before I added water and everything, I took the mixture I put in here and I put in a spray bottle and I sprayed down the soil. Enough. You don't want to go overboard, I'm sure, and I let that absorb into the soil. And then I capped it with the gravel, filled her up, let her sit for about a day, drained it, added plants, filled it back up, haven't had a problem. Matter of fact, as soon as those plants' roots reach to the bottom where that soil is, they take off like my S-Repens. I could tell when the roots for that reach that soil, because it just started growing out of control now. I keep having to trim it back, replanting it, which is always good. And by the way, right now, I have no CO2 running on that tank. Absolutely none. I haven't needed it. Well, here soon-ish, I will be getting CO2 because I'm going to get one of those splitters. I'm going to run CO2 to that. I'm going to run a little bit of CO2 to the fry tank, a hair of CO2 to the beta tank so I can get that growing. Matter of fact, there's going to be, I want to do up a couple other tanks where I'll just take my plant trimmings, put them in there, let them root so I could sell them to people. So with that, I'll want a lot of CO2, but hell, I was going to get one of the bigger tanks. I'm sure that will last me almost a year. When I had CO2 running the 125, I was doing 5 bubbles per second, which wasn't a whole lot for how big that tank is. Matter of fact, when I had my 40 breeder set up with most of this stuff in there, I was running 2 bubbles per second. I just don't use a whole lot of CO2 because more CO2, more trimming you're going to have to do in your plants. I'm lazy, so I mean, on my days off I try to be lazy, but it never happens. So I'm always doing something. If it's not with the computers, it's with tanks or I'm getting called in to work. One of the other reasons why I want to start my own pet store. But anyway, yeah, I mean, fertilizers, like I said, stay away from anything that has NO3 in it or nitrate. I gave you my best recommendations. Matter of fact, here soon, I'm going to be getting one of the big gallon bottles of the Easy Green, just to make things a little bit easier on myself. I mean, I'll probably still keep some of this stuff around. I still have a half a bottle of potassium, half a bottle of iron. My flourish actually just ran out not too long ago. But, alright guys, I hope this was a little bit educational for you, and I'm out.